Good morning. I'm Rick Dancer. Welcome. It is Thursday, and we have some information today on this story we've been following all over Lane County about Stephen Hensley. He's the local man who was actually a Springfield man who was beaten up. We think we don't know really what happened because he doesn't have his memory back yet, and he's just having a real hard time. He's up at OHSU in Portland, and his family has been up visiting with him. He can't remember things. We're trying to figure out what happened as a community, and so I did this Facebook Live, and a gentleman comes on named Dale Leslie. And Dale didn't know. I don't know how. We'll ask him. He's on the phone with me. I'm trying to see if he can come up. Are you watching the page now, Dale?
I don't have the live. Oh, let's see here.
Get the live up. We're going to try to bring Dale on here live with us, you guys, so you can see him while he's talking to us. So you need to pull up that page. Refresh the page again, Dale. And up pops my face. And then, you guys, and I want to remind you, this is brought to you by the buck stops here, Buck Sanitary Service. I got a hold of Scott Weld, and he said, you go right ahead, Rick. I want to get this story out there to people so we can get some help. So what it'll do, and we have family members are now joining us as well, and they can pipe in as well. There is a GoFundMe page to help the family, and Jim, if you would go ahead and put that in the comment section for people so they can get that if they want to participate. Dale, is it coming up on there for you?
No, I'm not seeing like the current one. I'm looking at ones that look like they're from a couple days ago.
Refresh your page and go to the top of it, or the page with Rick Dancer, and go to the top of it.
Okay.
And then, so we have Dale Leslie. He grew up in Springfield. And Jim just put the GoFundMe page on there. Dale did not know that this had happened until he saw this on Facebook and what we were doing. He grew up in Springfield, and he has an amazing story to give you a better sense of who Steve really is. And you're going to love this man even more once you hear the stories. So again, Scott Weld at Buck Sanitary Service, we thank you for sponsoring this. How did it work, Dale, or did you get it on there?
I'm still working at it, and I just don't know why.
So, Dale, tell me why you're doing that if you can. How do you know Steve?
I know Steve. He knew my biological mother, who during my beginning of high school, freshman year in high school, I was going to go live with her. But she didn't have a place for me to stay.
Okay.
She wasn't in a place to be able to do that. Steve and Charlene took it upon themselves to take me in, not really knowing who I was, and really, honestly, not even really able to afford it. He was working 2 jobs. He was working at Steve's Auto Body in West Eugene. And then at night he was working as a janitor.
So your parents, because of reasons we're not going to really discuss here, but they weren't really able to take care of you, and Steve Hensley just takes you into his house as a freshman in high school.
Yes.
And you're sleeping on the floor in his home with another kid that he also took in.
Yeah, I think his name was Marty, I want to say. I believe it was somebody that he was working with at Steve's Auto Body and was homeless. And again, took someone in that, he didn't have to, but he had a love for people. And he believed that he had something to offer.
Okay, so when you heard this on Facebook, you saw this come out, you were shocked.
Yeah, to say the least.
Talk to me about that.
I guess to give what I know of Steve and a little bit of background, he's an Army veteran of Vietnam. After coming home and having all of his body parts. Worked for the forestry department. Lost his right leg just below the knee. And never let that get him down in any way, shape, or form.
So he was like the one positive role model in your life.
Yes.
And when you
at that time,
and when you called me, Dale, your voice was cracking, and you were very holding on to your emotions very carefully because you were so upset about this thing and what was going on with Steve.
Yeah. He's an amazing man. And quite frankly, he's a hero to me in many ways.
So much so that you work up in Washington State and you drove to OHSU to see Steve in the hospital. What did you see?
That was difficult. He has a hard time remembering anything. He doesn't know about the incident.
He doesn't remember anything.
Yeah, he's suffered a brain injury. It seems like it's getting better. So he continually is finding out where he is.
But he still has trouble remembering, like Cassie and some people. Sometimes he knows and sometimes he doesn't. Is that what you experienced?
Right. Yeah. And then he goes back through it all over again. Realizing where he is, and that he's, not doing good, and he's like, oh my gosh. And then it's just, and then it just repeats itself.
So you guys, just so you know, we're talking to a man named Dale Leslie. He's from Springfield. When he was a freshman in high school, his parents couldn't keep him. His mom didn't have a home and was bouncing from place to place. And Stephen Hensley, the gentleman who was beaten by someone, it appears to be that he was beaten by someone, and was found by a good Samaritan unconscious behind Joey's Pizza. This young man, well, he's 47 now, but this man has affected his life so much. Tell him what you're going to do.
I am offering $1,000 for any information that would lead to an arrest.
$1,000.
$1,000. I'm not a,
You're not a wealthy man.
I'm not a wealthy person. But I feel like it's necessary. I feel like in my heart that there's somebody out there that knows and that wants to speak, and there's some reason that's keeping him from doing so. I'm just hoping that this will in some way open that door.
Okay, so Dale is offering $1,000 reward for information that leads to the arrest of whoever did this. So if you know something, here's an incentive to get off your ass and go say something to the police department about it. Dale, you're a very brave man, and you and I have been talking, and I think you're awesome. This is, because what you're doing, my man, is you're showing us. Oh, and I've got real fast. Buck Sanitary Service is a sponsor of this show, and I want to give them all the kudos because Scott just wrote me and said, I love this story. We want to get the word out, and he's totally happy about doing this. So just remember that, you guys. The people that sponsor us, we got to do business with them, okay? Because they're doing this. But anyway, back to Dale. You just have a heart of gold, and you had a rough life. I mean, you had a rough upbringing. It wasn't pretty.
It was influences like Steve's that I truly believe that if it wasn't for people like them and going out of their way for people that they really, don't necessarily have to.
because he didn't have room for you, really.
No.
I mean, you were sleeping on a floor, and
Mm-hmm.
you were just glad to have a roof over your head. And how much, I mean, how much did that make you the man you are today when you got this guy who shows you that, and now you're willing to offer $1,000 to find out what happened to him? It seems like something must have rubbed off on you, Dale. You may be a little more Steve than you think.
Well, I appreciate that, and I just feel like sometimes God gives me a signal, and I have to do what I have to do, and this is one of those times.
So, most memorable moment you have about Steve? that's not going to get the family like in trouble. Because if somebody asked that about me to somebody, you could come up with just about anything, and it might have to do with nudity. I don't know.
No, it's I guess I'm not a big fan of the El Camino.
My dad used to call him an El Camaro.
El Camino is one of Steve's favorite vehicles.
No, I was starting to like him so much.
when I was working with him at Steve's Auto Body, there was I believe it was a '64 that he did candy apple red, and it was amazing. And I've seen a lot of them since then. And I always think in the back of my head, that's nothing compared to the one that Steve painted.
Okay, so now we're in trouble here because now Jim's getting involved. This is a family member, his nephew, Jim, on here, and he says, Dale, to ask you about Steve swinging his prosthetic leg around.
Okay, all right. Well, I guess there was. I being new to Springfield, I wasn't familiar with it. I already felt like an outcast, and there was a couple of guys that took it upon themselves to try to intimidate me, and Steve came out and tried to alleviate the situation because that's what he did.
So they were bullying you. And
yeah.
Steve comes out to stick up for you.
Right.
And Steve has an artificial leg, folks, that just tuned in. So we're talking about the gentleman who was beaten and unconscious in Springfield over the 4th of July and is still coming in and out of his coma right now. And we're trying to find out who did it. So anyway, this is Dale, a young man who ended up, Steve just opened his home to him to sleep on the floor when his mom couldn't take care of him. So anyway, so this is the funny story. So boys are picking on you. They're bullying you. Steve comes out. Steve has an artificial leg. Now go.
And so I don't remember the words exactly, but they acted like they wanted to fight and get crazy. And so Steve pulled his leg off and held it there in his hand and was like, come on, bring it. And just the shock factor, stopped these kids in their tracks. They had no idea what was about to happen, and
oh my gosh,
and their own fear took over at that point, and it was extinguished at that point.
That's hilarious. So he pulls off his leg, and they're probably going, "Oh my God, what is that?" And now it becomes a weapon.
Right.
And you don't want to be the kid that was beaten by the prosthetic leg. That's a really embarrassing way to get a black eye, right? Some guy,
right.
Well, or a good story. Some guy hit me with his leg. I mean. So again, you guys, this is Dale Leslie, and he is offering. He's friends with the family. They all know about this. We've okayed everything with everyone, so we've gone through the proper chains of command here. But he's offering $1,000 for information that leads to the arrest of whoever did this or whatever happened here. Some answers, wow, Dale, you restore my faith in human beings. You know, I know you're not used to taking all this kind of compliment stuff, but dude, you are just a stud. I mean, that you come, and I love that when what Steve teaches us is when you do things for the right reasons, and then it builds things in people. It changed your life, and then it comes back when you need it, and he needs it now. He needs people praying for him and loving on him, and his family needs that, and he needs somebody to come forward and just say what the hell happened and knock this shit off.
Exactly.
And so, I think what he did for you, you're now doing for us, and that's a powerful thing. That's a powerful thing.
Well, yeah.
You're not used to taking compliments, are you?
Nope.
Well, you better get used to it. But thank you for doing what you're doing.
Yes, and the same to you. Because if it wouldn't have been for your initial post, I really wouldn't have known about it.
That's the power of social media.
There's been some separation in years with Steve, but nothing in my heart has changed for him. That's for sure.
Okay, so in terms of folks watching, his condition then is, would you describe it as better than it was? Obviously, but he's still not.
Yes.
He's not out of the woods.
He's not out of the woods. Anything that anybody could do to help, whether it's with the GoFundMe page or with someone out there. I truly believe that somebody knows information. They're just for whatever reason they feel like they can't,
Right.
and I just want to reach out to them and just do the right thing.
Okay, so people are on here asking, so what's the new development? Okay, so Steve is at OHSU. He's in the hospital. He can't remember details of things, or even sometimes he remembers his kids, sometimes he doesn't. He was beaten, like some joker did something really bad to him, or something bad happened to him. We don't know, but something happened to him. And so his condition is, is he still in ICU?
I believe he's going to be transferring as soon as they find a room.
Okay.
So he's going to be one down on the chain of from ICU to whatever is less than that, and I don't recall the word. But he's recovering. Recently he was able to put his leg on this morning and was able to take about 20 or so steps.
Okay.
So that's the first time that he's been out of bed.
But he still doesn't remember what happened. He doesn't even know why he's there.
No.
Okay. And the other thing is, this is Dale Leslie. This is a young man, a 47-year-old man, who, when he was a young man, Steve took him in, let him sleep on his floor, made him go to work with him, too, though. Work ethic was most obviously important to Steve. And and Dale Leslie saw this online, had lost touch with the family and saw this online, and now is offering a $1,000 reward for the information that leads to the arrest of whoever did this or what happened. So, and so I want to remind all of you that you did this. Some of you tagged me in your comments about when this story came out. That alerted me to the fact. Then I just became your megaphone, but you had the voice. So it was your voice that made this happen as a collective group of people. That's the power we have as people. We didn't have it on the news. We didn't get it out of the paper. Didn't hear it on the radio. The traditional channels are dying. And we have the power to do this and help people. And the police are appreciative of this. I talked with them the other day, and they want to find out who did this. So we're all now part of the solution. And then Dale pops in and just ups the ante. And then also at the top, you guys, the family, in the comment section, the family has put a GoFundMe page together because obviously this is going to be expensive. And Steve is not a wealthy man. And it's going to be expensive and probably a long haul. So but it explains on the GoFundMe page, and I'll just let you kind of deal with that as you guys want to. Dale, anything else that you need to or want to say?
Um, just, I guess, a big thank you to you for bringing this out to the public. And honestly, that's really all I can think of at this point.
Well, I have a really good friend who, whenever he ends a broadcast, he always says something that's super appropriate right now, and I think it's go love your neighbor, and we're doing that. You know what I mean? I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's pretty amazing. It's just go and love your neighbor. Dale, thank you.
That's God's work right there.
Yeah, thanks for talking to me. Thanks for contacting me. It's been a pleasure kind of having phone conversations with you over the last 2 days, and just getting to know who you are, because I think you're a really cool dude. And to the family out there watching, Chris, Jim, all you, Cassie, all you guys who are watching, we're praying for him. We're real sorry, but he's obviously super tough. Somebody tried to do something to him, and this guy's like made of steel. So all I can say is they're really lucky he didn't have time to get his leg off. or we'd have somebody else who was the story about, but it wouldn't be Steve. So I will talk to you soon, Dale. Please stay in contact with me, and I will let the family. You and the family can figure out how the reward thing works and all that. I just, you guys you're kind of behind this whole thing, and so I'm just gonna bow out of that and let you guys kind of deal with that. Okay.
Okay.
All right. You're a good man. We don't get to meet good people like you very often, and I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you saying so.
All right.
Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, Dale.
You bet.
All right, you guys, so that's the story. That's kind of an update on Steve. Also, we want to thank Buck's Sanitary Service, Scott and Lisa Weld. They just tell me I can go find great stories, and they sponsor it. And we don't have to be paid to do everything, but it gets them to be a part of it too. And they're thrilled to do it. You guys, this is how community works. This is what it is. And when we do it, and we try, and we have consideration for people, this is what you can do. We don't need the horse shit. We just need each other. And I think this story is proving that. So we're not going to let this thing, die. We'll keep, when something new is out there, we'll make sure the family lets us know. And we'll see what we can do. So keep praying for him. And, when you're out on the street today, go say hi to somebody you don't know. Yeah, just go love your neighbor. I'm Rick Dancer, and this is called Get Real with Rick Dancer, and the buck stops here, and it does. All right, have a good day.